Namaste, Dandavat Pranams. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble obeisance to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, and following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the guru of Srila Prabhupada and our Srila Sridhara Maharaj. Following his guidance, we are praying to Srimati Radharani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has told us that unless we discover Srimati Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste. So with this in mind, we are praying. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Shri Bhagavat Pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha yadina jani mahe tutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu Shlokanam Bhagavat Oktishu Radharanimna Vindamatada Nishpalam Bhagavatadhyayanam Radhikaya Kripam Vina Vyartasyat Sarva Padishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all of our efforts are in vain. Dhanavat Pranam Srimati Umadevi.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
So we are continuing our reading from Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata, Text 41. Bhamam divyam manusham cha mahitvam karma yogajam yaschakre nirayopamyam purushanu jana priya. As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaj Priyavrata considered hellish the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power, whether in the lower or heavenly planetary systems or in human society. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has said that the position of a devotee is so super excellent that a devotee does not consider any material opulence worth having. There are different types of opulences on earth, in the heavenly planets, and even in the lower planetary system known as Patala. A devotee, however, knows that they are all material, and consequently he is not at all interested in them. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drištva Nivartate. Sometimes yogis and jnanis voluntarily give up all material opulences to practice their system of liberation and taste spiritual bliss. However, they frequently fall down because artificial renunciation of material opulences cannot endure. One must have a superior taste in spiritual life. Then he can give up material opulence. Maharaj Priyavrata had already tasted spiritual bliss, and therefore he had no interest in any of the material achievements available in the higher or middle planetary systems. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 1st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. Chapter 2. The Activities of Maharaj Agnidra. Text 1. So there's always this summary in the beginning. Maybe we should just read this, huh? In this chapter, the character of Maharaj Agnidra is described. When Maharaj Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son Agnidra became the ruler of Jambudvip, in accordance with Maharaj Priyavrata's instructions, and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for his sons. Once Maharaj Agnidra desired to have a son, and therefore he entered the cave of Mandara mountain to practice austerity. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachiti to Agnidra's hermitage. After dressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidra was naturally attracted to her. The girl's actions, expressions, smiles, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidra was expert in flattery. Thus he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband because of his mellifluous words. She enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidra for many years before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidra begot 9 sons: Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilvrita, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrasva, and Ketumala. He gave them 9 islands with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidra, however, his senses unsatisfied, was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore in his next life he was born in her celestial planet. After the death of Agnidra, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Meru, named Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugradamshri, Lata, Ramya, Syama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. Text 1. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Pitari Sampravrite Tad Anushashane Vartamana Agnidro Jambudvipokasa Praja Urasavad Dharma Vikasamana Poryago Payat. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. After his father Maharaj Priyavrata departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvip as if they were his own begotten sons. Purport. Following the instruction of his father Maharaj Priyavrata, Maharaj Agnidra ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvip according to religious principles. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness. As clearly stated here, the king protected the citizens the way a father protects his begotten children. How he ruled the citizens is described here. Dharmavikshamanaha, strictly according to religious principles. It is the duty of the executive head of a state to see that the citizens strictly follow religious principles. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashram Dharma, the duties of the 4 Varnas of 4 ashrams. Dharma refers to principles given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma or religion is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to people's qualities and activities, society should be divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grihasthas, Vanaprasts, and Sannyas. These are religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of state to see that his citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially. He should be like a father who is always a well-wisher of his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. Just contrary to the principles mentioned here, the presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activity, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago these four principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. In contrast to the principles of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali Yuga the government will be entrusted with dasu dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Modern heads of state are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But in this age of Kali, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the sinful activities and citizens and government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good, spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Text 2. Sacha kadachit pitraloka kamasura vara vanita kridachala dronyam bhagavantam vishvashrujam patrim abrita paricharayo pakarana atmayaika griyena tapasvyaradayam babuva. Desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to the valley of Mandara Hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia, and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Purport. The king became Pitraloka Kama, or desirous of being transferred to the planet named Pitraloka. Pitraloka is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Devavrata Devan Pitrin Yanti Priyavrata. To go to this planet, one needs very good sons who can make offerings to Lord Vishnu and then offer the remnants to their forefathers. The purpose of the Shraddha ceremony is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, so that after pleasing him, one may offer prasad to one's forefathers and in this way make them happy. The inhabitants of Pitraloka are generally men of the karma kandiya, or fruit of activities category, who have been transferred there because of their pious activities. They can stay there as long as their descendants offer them Vishnu prasad. Everyone in heavenly planets, such as Pitraloka, however, must return to earth after exhausting the effects of his pious activities. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Chinhe punye marcha lokam vishanti. Persons who perform pious acts are transferred to higher planets, but when the effects of their pious acts are over, they are again transferred to earth. Since Maharaj Priyavrata was a great devotee, how could he have begotten a son who desired to be transferred to Pitraloka? Lord Krishna says, Patrin Yanti Priyavrata. Persons who desire to go to Pitraloka are transferred there. Similarly, yanti madhyagino pimam. Persons who desire to be transferred to spiritual planets, Vaikuntha Lokas, can also go there. Since Maharaj Agnidra was the son of a Vaishnava, he should have desired to be transferred to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Why then did he desire to be transferred to Pitraloka? In answer to this, Goswami Giridhara, one of the Bhagavatam commentators, remarks that Agnidra was born when Maharaj Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. This may be accepted as a fact because sons are begotten with different mentalities according to the time of their conception. According to the Vedic system, therefore, before a child is conceived, the Garbhodana Samskar is performed. This ceremony molds the mentality of the father in such a way that when he plants his seed in the womb of his wife, he will beget a child whose mind will be completely saturated with a devotional attitude. At the present moment, however, there are no such Garbhodana Samskars, and therefore people generally have a lusty attitude when they beget children. Especially in this age of Kali, there are no Garbhodana ceremonies. Everyone enjoys sex with his wife like a cat or dog. Therefore, according to Shastric injunctions, almost all the people of this age belong to the Sudra category. Of course, although Maharaj Agnidra had a desire to be transferred to Pitraloka, this does not mean that his mentality was that of a Sudra. He was a Kshatriya. Maharaj Agnidra desired to be transferred to Pitraloka, and therefore he needed a wife, because anyone desiring to be transferred to Pitraloka must leave behind a good son to offer a yearly pinda, or prasad, from Lord Vishnu. To have a good son, Maharaj Agnidra wanted a wife from a family of demigods. Therefore, he went to Mandara Hill, where the women of the demigods generally come to worship Lord Brahma. In Bhagavad Gita 4.12, it is said, Kanchanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata. Materialists who want quick results in the material world worship demigods. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Aishvarya Prajipsava. Those who desire beautiful wives, substantial wealth, and many sons worship the demigods. But an intelligent devotee, instead of being entangled by the happiness of this material world in the form of a beautiful wife, material opulence, and children, desires to be immediately transferred back home, back to Godhead. Thus he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 3 on Wednesday. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa. Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Guru Dev, Srila Acharya Dev Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Hare Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Giri Govardhan, Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shyam Kund Radha Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari 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 Bol Jai Shrimati Kasi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय। धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद।